And the French economy has officially gone into recession, with new figures showing the sharpest slump in growth since World War II. Spain and Italy's economies have also seen massive plunges in the first 3 months of the year because of the pandemic. Let's get more now from our business editor, Stephen Carroll. Stephen, beginning with France and a particularly brutal blow to the economy.
These are the figures for the first 3 months of this year, Annette, and it's worth pointing out that only the 2.5 weeks of the lockdown measures are counted during this period, but it was still the worst slump on record, a contraction of 5.8% for the French economy. These records began in 1949, which means it's much worse than the slump seen during the financial crisis or during the social unrest of May 1968. Now, the Statistics Agency actually changed its methods to ensure that it could count as much as possible from those crucial 2.5 weeks. And what we found out is that things like consumer spending for the month of March was down by almost 18%, a huge drop, a drop in business investment. Output from manufacturing and construction was down sharply as well. And looking ahead, the next 3 months could be even more brutal in a drop to the economy, because we're going to be looking at least half of the 3-month period from April to June covered by a lockdown. And without a major recovery, there won't be greater figures coming out of the French economy later in the year either. The crucial thing to watch will be consumer spending. Once shops do reopen for those that have been closed and people do have less restrictions on them to go out and about, are they going to spend money? Because that will be what's crucial to the recovery of the French economy.
And Stephen, it's not just the French economy that's suffering. The picture is pretty grim right across Europe as well.
New figures just out from the European Statistics Agency showing the eurozone economy contracted 3.8% in the first 3 months of this year. That's the worst slump on record for the whole of the eurozone as well, and really just showing that this isn't something that's localised to a few countries. New figures out from Spain today as well, showing its economy shrunk by 5.2% in the first 3 months of this year. That's the worst on record for Spain as well. And remember, the recovery prospects for Spain will also be affected by what happens to travel and tourism, a major sector of the economy worth around 12% last year. So without that sector recovering, Spain's economic prospects in the short term aren't great either. And it's, we're seeing similar pictures. Italy expects its economy to shrink by 8% this year as well. We'll have the European Central Bank meet later with Christine Lagarde, perhaps going to announce more help for the eurozone. She told EU finance ministers recently the eurozone could contract by 15% this year. We know that governments and policymakers are trying to mitigate those losses, but it does look like a fairly difficult year ahead.
Stephen Carroll, thank you for that.